Hi, I'm Johnny Marques, and welcome to the All Knowing Podcast. We all have people we admire, heroes, people we look up to, people we try to emulate. At the All Knowing, we look into people's personalities by using different systems such as numerology, astrology, and life charts. A deep dive in a persona, if you will. It is our hope that we can help break down what makes a person, who they are, their traits, their actions, and their possible beliefs. And in doing so, help you understand if you have similar virtues. If you like the show, don't forget to push like. Or if you have someone that you want us to do a life chart on, please leave it in the comments. Thank you for watching and enjoy the show. Hey there, welcome to another episode of the All Knowing Experience. Today we have Sally Faubion, and she is going to be giving us a breakdown on a subject that came across my mind. I was watching a show the other day, and it really struck me on something that I wanted to do, and it's on one of the most famous beings of all time. So again, I received this idea after watching a YouTube show, and the show is Glenn Beck, and he was talking about a show called The Chosen. It's a free show being streamed on YouTube, created by a writer, producer, director, Dallas Jenkins, and the show is about Jesus when he was on Earth. It's an interpretation. Let's see, it was the #1 crowd-funded movie show in history, and The Chosen has taken the world by storm. It's on season 3 and has been viewed by millions and millions of people around the world, to a point where they are requesting that it's being transcribed into different languages. I watched a few clips, and I have to say, it brought me to tears. It's a really well done project. Let's see. There have been many interpretations on the birth of Jesus, but what we decided to do was choose something and go with it for entertainment purposes. It's not set in stone. It's just for the purpose of entertainment. And, a what if Jesus was on Earth, what he would be like. So that's it. It's just an interpretation. So with that, I hand you over to Sally. Hello, Sally. How are you?
Fine. Ready to go.
Great, great. So can you let us know your process and what you chose?
Okay, well, basically I went with December 25th because it's just what we know. What we've been told, that's when Christ was born or something, at least from the church angle. And I used the year 1001 because I did look it up on Wikipedia and other places. And so that's what I found. And what was interesting to me was that, if I use Jesus Christ, and Christ is because the Christ is associated with what is said to be the anointed one, because it's a Greek word meaning anointed one. Okay, so I use that because people do say Jesus Christ, right? And that reduced to the number 7, which is a very elevated number. It is a number that I call the number of genius, but it's also someone who's highly perceptive and kind of highly intuitive, I should say, and so on. It would seem to me that certainly Jesus would be those things. He also has, and also the 25 reduces to a 7. So those are 2 7s. And then the primary number that comes from his birth date and his name is the number 8, which is the number of the exemplar, somebody who sets the example for others to emulate. So I would say that those would certainly all apply to Jesus, albeit I think that there's probably other, dates and so on that probably are more accurate. But still, from what we're given, this is a good description of what I would think Jesus would represent.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So even going forth with it under that perspective, I could see that his early years, he was alone. I mean, that's what it shows, is that, and that comes from just Jesus, the name Jesus. And it shows that he walked alone, basically, that he was, I mean, if he were someone of our time, I would call him a loner as a young child or a young person growing up. This goes from the time he's born until he is 28. And then also he had a number that showed that he was learning a great deal or delivering knowledge, which is what he's been, it's been expressed that he's done, he did for people and so on.
Right.
So it's kind of a real challenge for someone to take a birth date and do this. But the point is that I think he'd be a compilation of all the best numbers that there are, and numbers all have vibrations, and they're all of our universe and so on. So I feel that this is a good depiction of who he probably was, in actuality.
That's excellent. So basically, some of the traits and what are you coming up with?
Well, I mean, here again, I mean, because it's kind of a perspective that may be inaccurate, but when I look at the other side, because there's two sides to every chart that I do, and again, he has such rather interesting numbers in his first phase of life, like up to like the age of 14, he has some numbers that showed there was a lot of difficulty in his life, if this could be accurate. And this goes with Jesus Christ, those two names, from an English standpoint, though, too. So again, I guess I keep apologizing about that, but the point is that this is a unique approach to what I do, I must say, because it isn't the easiest.
Yeah, we're facing a little bit of a challenge, I mean, for obvious reasons. And just something that struck me was the show itself, The Chosen. And, I mean, this is just an attempt at, an experiment at possibly showing a possibility. So we're not holding you to it, but I'm interested and open to hearing what you have to say.
Yeah, well, I don't know that I can go as far as I certainly could with someone else, because his life was what we all know it was. I mean, when I think, I can't recall, I think he was 33 when he was put on the cross. And 33 is what in numerology is called the Christ-like number. And also the day they gave for April 3rd in 1933, or whatever it was, 1033, whatever that was. But that reduced down to the number 13, which in numerology is also a number of death, or actually metamorphosis, if you want. I call it more a metamorphic number than dying, because we all return into some kind of form. So I don't feel that 13 is really the death number.
Got it.
It's a much higher vibration than what people, think of it as being, because of just our own indoctrination that we've had with that number. but it was interesting that it reduced to the 13 on the day that they say he was put on the cross.
Okay.
So it would be metamorphosis. And he is still with us, I would say. In my opinion, I do believe that. I mean, I have a very strong affinity with Jesus. And I just, because I like to take long walks, and I like to tell myself that I'm walking in love. I live in downtown San Francisco, and let me tell you, you got to have a whole lot of love when you're walking down the streets of San Francisco these days. And so I just feel that I walk with Jesus. And I do see people that I feel need a little hug from Jesus, and I tell them to go over there and give them a hug.
Wow.
I'm walking along. So, I mean, I wouldn't call myself a Jesus freak, but I have to say that Jesus is a very important component in my life as far as what I sense with him for myself.
But based on the day, for lack of a better term, is there a horoscope for him? What would he?
Well, numerology is not a horoscope. I mean, basically, I mean, he would be a Capricorn,
Okay.
we're talking about astrology. But he is, the 12-month child is a very special child, usually associated in a very strong way with the parent of the opposite sex, which would be for him, his mother. And also, the numbers that come off of it, and if I were reading a person, that's here, are very elevated too, very interestingly, because, this is a very unique chart, as I keep saying, for me to have run. And so I'm even impressed with what came out of it to see. Now, he did have a couple of what I call challenges, karmic challenges. And one of them was the 4, which is paying attention to details. I don't think he had to do a whole lot of that, because he could kind of make things what he needed to make things into. And also the number 7, but at the same time, he has the 7 as 2 elements of his personality. And like I said, the 7 is the number of the genius, but it's also highly revered in the esoteric world, because it is a number of higher intuition, like psychicness, if you want, or just being intuitive, just feeling a sense of something and feeling you're right, with it. And people that have 7s are just, like Stephen Hawking has 7s, and Elon Musk and Tesla and people like that. I mean, just
that's so fascinating to know. Jeez, like some of the greatest people in history.
Right. And so I revere the 7, actually, and I am a magnet for 7s. I have so many people with 7s in my life. They just gravitate to me. I mean, every man I've ever been with for any long duration has been 7s, either double 7s, born on a 7 day with a 7 destiny. So, and usually they're people who are either like doing what like Tesla did type of thing with the computer area and so on, or artists, brilliant artists. I mean, Beethoven, for instance, was a 7. I have in my own book, which is called Motivational Numerology, I have all the most famous people and their birth dates in there, and what are called destiny numbers associated with it. And
wait a minute, you have a book?
I have numerous books. I mean, I have 4 books.
So what book is that? Let the audience know what book they should get.
Well, the first one, well, they're all on Amazon, actually. There's one that's called You Are Your Best Soulmate, which I really like. It's very, very easy to read, and it just tells you that learning to love yourself basically is the most important thing you can do to be a happy person on this planet. And then I
Right.
offer, who are you? I allow them to learn their own numbers, to calculate their own 3 primary numbers, and then to compare them with all the most famous people in every area of life that is, even cook chefs and
Right.
actors and actresses and other famous people.
It kind of sounds like what we're doing here.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So we bring it to video.
Well, I mean, I'm just a very obsessed. I'm an obsessive, totally 100% obsessed with every new person that I find that has any kind of interesting thing going for them. I run their chart if I can get the information, you know, and Wikipedia has been a great help to me in my life with this career.
Wow.
So, yeah, no, I mean, you know, Jesus is way up there. His first name is the 11, which, I mean, Jesus, the number Jesus, I mean, the name Jesus is an 11, and the 11 is a high master number. All the double-digit numbers are master numbers, and the 11 is the one of being highly intuitive. And also in our kind of mundane 3D world, it's called the number of the peacemaker, the arbitrator, the mediator. Well, certainly Jesus would be that were he walking the earth today, as it appeared he was back in his day.
Right.
Yeah. So that was interesting to me. And then the number Christ is the 32, which is basically, it's just someone who's very malleable, you know, able to adapt to all different types of people from all walks of life and so on. And then reducing those 2 numbers down to the 43-7. And so that is a, you know, the 4 is very responsible, conscientious, you know, he's walking out there all the time. And the 3 is someone who can articulate well. And the 7 is, as I said, the number of genius. But his overall number is the 8. When you add all 3 numbers from this chart together, the 8 is the exemplar. Also the someone who likes to be in control, but isn't like a controlling person. They just don't want to feel out of control with what they do. So they try to do the very best they can with what they've got. And they usually rise high in all areas that the 8 is found because of that quality in that.
That is incredible that all these numbers kind of line up. I mean, I guess the only examples that we have are the Bible and scholars and all that stuff. But I mean, you know, through the years of growing up and all that, and hearing all the mentions of what he could have been like, you're matching up with numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, everything that you just spoke about right now pretty much describes what a good number of people say.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
I was pretty impressed with it, you know, because
right.
there could have been some somewhat dastardly numbers, albeit I don't find any number to be a dastardly number. There's always a high side, a low side, and the in-between side for all of them. It just depends on how the person wants to operate, you know.
Right.
And I would say Jesus was certainly a high-end operator.
I would say so. So in closing, is there anything else you'd like to add? Again,
That's the only thing that I could add is that I absolutely love Jesus. I really do. I'm not a Jesus freak. I wasn't raised with any religion at all. My mother and father weren't either. It's a very odd thing to find in this world today. But
right. Well,
so
it's interesting when I brought it up to you, and I was telling you the idea, like, you know, we kind of both try to figure out how we're going to accomplish this. And, you know, again, it's entertainment. We're not trying to say this is it.
Right.
But as I was telling you, part of the reason why I was telling you is that there was this show called The Chosen, and it's funny. I do events as well, and 2 days ago, I think we had spoke prior. I was at this event, and I am. It's a personal dinner, and I'm in the household, and I take a glance at the TV, and lo and behold, The Chosen's on. And I'm someone big with signs and this, that, the other. And I had spoke to the housekeeper, and I was like, "Oh, that's The Chosen." And she goes, "No, that's about Jesus." And I was like, and I was looking at it, and she goes, "Oh, it's a really great show. It's a Brazilian show. It's in Portuguese, and you know, I just like to watch it because it makes me feel good, and it's such a great, you know." She's Spanish, and she just said the overall mood of it just made her feel good. And the funny thing about it was The Chosen, and it has become so popular that they've transcribed it into Brazilian Portuguese. So here's someone that, you know, take it as signs or whatever you want to call it, that we had to do the show.
Well,
so
what's really interesting is that The Chosen is also a 7. So not only do we have December 25, which is a 7, 2 and 5 is 7, but Jesus Christ is also a 7, and The Chosen also reduces to a 7.
Right.
And it is.
I think I have to do a little more research to find out. Probably someone watching this will know why he, for obvious, other than obvious reasons, why they decided to go with the show The Chosen. Name it The Chosen. You know, and maybe that's a possibility that they, you know, they use numbers or the meaning, or I mean, obviously.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, if they looked at anything from a numbers standpoint, numerologically, the other thing about the 7 is they're very contained people. People with 7s don't feel it's necessary for them to, they don't gossip, and they don't tell about things about themselves. They're not braggarts in any way. And so it's really just such a it is kind of a divine, divine number, I feel. That coupled with the 8 and the 9, the 7, 8, and 9 are all rather elevated symbols in numerology, certainly.
Wow.
I mean, no.
What a fascinating outtake that you had. So thank you for doing that and taking the time to research it.
It was a bit of a challenge, but it was fun too. It was fun to.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, I mean, I had some people who said don't do it, and then I had some people that said that it would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like a lot of people, it's taboo for a lot of people, but to me, and we had spoken about this, as long as we came from a place of love and we came from a positive outlook on this, that who could fault it just for the sake of entertainment purposes or just provoking thought. You know,
yeah,
I mean, everyone has their own. Say again. Go ahead.
Yeah, I find it rather amazing when I do go to analyze things that would seem to be kind of far-fetched, if you want, but to find the numbers that do come out of those things, because I think everything happens for a purpose. I think there's something in everything that actually is manifested in some way.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, again, thank you so much for an interesting outlook on The Chosen and Jesus. I urge everyone out there to check it out. I mean, I was also telling Sally that another thing that compelled me is in the comments of some of these videos, there are people who are atheists. There are people who didn't go to church much, who got closer to God and started going to church more often, and just thank you after thank you after thank you. So I definitely, it was definitely something that I wanted to touch on at the all-knowing experience. So
well, it was a real challenge for me, but it was also enjoyable because
right,
it's what I do and what I love, and Jesus, and I love Jesus too.
right,
So
right.
it was okay with me.
Excellent.
So thank you
So
for offering this
you
opportunity, actually.
you got it. So I want to thank everyone for joining us again. I want to thank Sally. And if you like the video, push like. If you have any comments that you would like to add, please do so in the comment section, and definitely would appreciate a follow. So thank you, and we'll
Thank
see you
you.
next time.